weapon of mass destruction. Whether you're Solar Son or BBC One, misinformation is a weapon of mass destruction. You could have Caucasian or poor Asian. Racism is a weapon of mass destruction. Whether inflation or globalization, fear is a weapon of mass destruction. Whether Halliburton, Enron or anyone greed is a weapon of mass.
Hello and welcome to this month's media show. On this edition, we take a look at the health of the independent radio sector in Ireland, and we visit an exhibition taking place here in the RDS targeting media and marketing professionals. But first, we meet one of Ireland's leading and most senior PR professionals and somebody who's now making his mark on the international stage. With over 30 years' experience of the public relations and communications industry, Jim Walsh has been involved in all aspects of PR, public affairs and crisis and issues management, working with commercial organisations, government departments and representative groups.
My background in PR actually began in the book publishing and printing business. I worked for a number of years as publicity manager with a company called Gillan Macmillan, very well-known publishing company. And then I moved into Kenny's Public Relations, which was part of the Kenny's Advertising Group, quite a large advertising group at the time, and they also had, in addition to PR advertising, they had a research company. So they were quite well known at the time. So I moved in with a man called Jack McGowan, and we set up the PR division, or at least Jack had set up the PR division just before I moved in, and developed that over the next 4 or 5 years before I set up Walsh Public Relations. We've got a team of 10 people here, quite a mixed team. They come from backgrounds in the insurance industry. Some people have been with other public relations companies. We've a mix of graduates in public relations, which is a big change in the area. When I came into public relations, first there was no formal training, but over the last 15 years we're getting more and more people who are actually studying public relations, either through diplomas in the different colleges, or indeed there's a master's in the DIT. So we've a good mixed team here, people who are familiar with the corporate sector, and indeed people who are familiar with the consumer sector as well. And it's balanced in age. If you take me out of the equation, probably the average age is probably around 30. Walsh Public Relations actually began in 1984. And among our early clients were people like Wavin, who the plastic pipe company from Balbriggan, who still remain a client. But we also worked for companies like Superquin and companies like Avonmore. And for me, they were great clients, because they gave me the opportunity to watch people like Fergal Quinn and Superquin and Pat O'Neill, who was the chief executive in Avonmore, who were, to my mind, brilliant managers, and it gave me an opportunity to watch them in action and to learn from them. Avonmore as a client was a very interesting client, because it was, when we began working with Avonmore, it was before they became a PLC, and before it turned into Avonmore Waterford, and before it turned into Glanbia. So there's been quite a story there. And our work with Avonmore in the early days involved a lot of work in the agricultural area. Obviously, they were developing their consumer business at the time with Avonmore Milk and Yoplait yogurts. And there was also quite a lot of acquisitions happening at the time. And as it was before the era of the PLC, it meant that the rules and regulations were not quite as stringent. And I remember one takeover bid for the Westmeath Co-op back in 1988, I think it was, where the bid for the co-op went up 3 times in the one day, each time in order to catch the main news bulletins of the day. So it was very interesting times working with them. Today we've got a very mixed bag of clients. They cover the motor industry, they cover the airline industry, they cover the hotels, they cover the building sectors, they cover the pharma. And included in them, of course, is Land Rover, who are a very interesting client, and an iconic brand, obviously. And a number of the issues we have with Land Rover, one of the projects we have, which is a very interesting one, is the Land Rover G4 Challenge, where Land Rover choose 16 people, one from each of 16 countries, and they take part in a 4-week challenge. Last year, the challenge happened in South America, particularly, and we worked with Land Rover to select an Irish entrant for that. It was the second year of the challenge. The first year we had 50 people entered. Last time we had 500. They were whittled down to 50 and then whittled down to 3 and eventually to 1. And the participants in this project not only have to do a lot of driving, but they have to take part in a lot of adventures. They have to abseil, they have to go canoeing, kayaking, so on. It's quite a strenuous activity, and it's a great brand exercise in terms of Land Rover. It gives them great global exposure, and the next G4 Challenge will begin in 2009, and this time Land Rover have lined up with the International Red Cross as a charity, because they've discovered that in preparing for this project, they actually get involved in a lot of issues which help local communities. For example, last year part of the challenge was in Cambodia, and part of the preparatory work entailed going along the route and evacuating mines, landmines which had been left in place. So obviously that was a great benefit to the local communities as well. So it's an amazing project and excellent for the brand. The marketing support for the Land Rover G4 Challenge obviously involves PR to a great extent. So we would have been very much involved in preparing the initial press release, in arranging the initial photo call, in helping with the preparation of print material, photo calls before the Irish entrants left for the main event, and indeed preparing a lot of local stories for the Irish people who got to the finals. So there was a lot of work over a period of maybe about 6 months.
Jim Walsh was confirmed as international president of IPREX in June this year. IPREX is one of the world's major corporations of independent public relations firms. Founded in 1983, its 58 members have 70 offices in North America, Europe, the Middle East and Asia Pacific. It's only the third time since its foundation in the US that IPREX has elected a non-American as president worldwide.
IPREX is an international global organization. It's a corporation of 60 partners all around the world, all independent public relations companies. I've just become the worldwide president, begin a 2-year term of office. It's a tremendous organization in terms of a resource for our clients because, as I say, we've got 60 partners. We have revenues of somewhere close to 100 million. We employ about 800 people. For an independent company, such as Walsh Public Relations in Ireland, and we're the Irish representatives, it gives us great opportunities. It gives us great opportunities to help our clients overseas if they wish that, but also gives us great opportunities in terms of management, in terms of sharing information, and being made aware of trends. We're right on top of what's happening in the public relations business anywhere in the world. Public relations is an interesting discipline. Many people have the impression that public relations is simply publicity, but it's much wider than that. And more organisations now see the benefit of public relations in terms of corporate reputation and indeed in terms of crisis management. And it's an area we work in quite extensively, and we've worked with clients in crisis that range from industrial relations issues to even to murder, where we've had an employee of a client murdered on site on one occasion some years ago. So all of those issues raise questions about reputation, so it's important for the companies who experience a crisis to have a plan in place and to be prepared to answer questions which might impinge on their reputation. Public relations is a great discipline for people who want to develop knowledge. You're involved in so many different areas, so many different sectors. For young people going into the business, it's tremendous business. For example, we work in the building materials area, but we also work in the consumer area. One of the clients in that area is Hasbro, the toy makers. So there's obviously a lot of fun involved as well. And just recently we relaunched Monopoly when we ran a competition among all the counties in Ireland. And indeed Roscommon came out on top. So Roscommon replaced Shrewsbury Road on the new Monopoly board. So that's been a very interesting project for us, and it was great fun in the office. You know, you can go around wearing your Darth Vader hat and waving your sword as well from time to time. So it lightens up things.
With a long-range weapon or suicide.